What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 69, and we start today's episode off by looking at the Europa League tree. Apologies for not showing this in the last episode, completely forgot all about it. But yeah, we are through to the semi-finals after that fantastic win away at San Siro in our last game. We're through to the semi-finals, as are Arsenal, Leverkusen and Marseille. So yeah, three very, very strong teams in those Europa League semi-finals. And of course, Seb Larsson did get injured in that Inter Milan game, and he is of course going to be out for 3 months with that broken toe. So Larsson's going to be out for the rest of the season. That absolutely sucks because of course last year we lost Liam Trotter come the end of the season. He went out for 3 months, and Larsson's going to be out as well. So that absolutely sucks. 2 midfielders in 2 years get injured towards the end of the season, and they're both really vital midfielders to us really as well, because Larsson of course is I mean, I don't need to say it every single episode, you guys must be sick of it by now, but as I said before, we brought Larsson for like 1.7 million, something like that, and he has been one of our most consistent players. He never has a bad game, barely ever puts a foot wrong, and of course he's an absolute dead ball monster. So sucks to have Larsson out for the rest of the season, but not much we can do about that now. But we did take on Newcastle United for the first game of this episode here, and it's a bit of a shorter episode than usual today, so apologies for that, but I've just been a little bit busy of late. But we did take on Newcastle United at St James's Park, and the first chance did come to Newcastle. Kabai's cross was met by the header of Leal Gutierrez as we get the ball away, but Newcastle kept the pressure on. Anita found Ben Arthur, he fizzed the ball across the face of goal, and Sylvain Marveau put the ball past McCarthy into the back of the net to make it Newcastle 1, Millwall 0, 16 minutes in. So after a fantastic result away at the San Siro, we were 1-0 down here, and in the 45th minute, a great chance for Newcastle to make it 2. Kabai gets played forward, but the midfielder shot hits the post, and we managed to get the ball away as the referee eventually blew for half time. So 1-0 to Newcastle after 45 minutes, and to be honest, we came into half time thinking, well, we haven't really been in the game at all. We've done basically nothing, and Newcastle have had the very few chances that they've been in the game, and they're 1-0 up. So in the second half, I needed a reaction from my team. But in the 50th minute, Ben Arthur went down the right-hand side here and played the ball through to Jackson Martinez, who scored as he put the ball underneath McCarthy and into the back of the net. And that was not the reaction I was looking for. Newcastle 2, Millwall 0, 50 minutes in. And I know we had a weaker side out, of course, after the win against Inter Milan on Thursday night. And, of course, we are resting the players in the league as the Europa League takes priority. But even so, I was very surprised about how poor this performance was. And in the 57th minute, as if things couldn't get worse, Todd Kane, our right-back, gets sent off for an absolutely diabolical challenge. And that was my fault, of course, because I thought that Martinez was about to lose control of the ball and Kane could slide it back towards McCarthy, and instead I completely mistimed it, and Todd Kane took out Jackson Martinez, and that made it 10 men Millwall now will be facing the 11 men Newcastle for the rest of the game, because that was a shocking challenge. Of course it was my fault, but even so I thought for sure that I timed that right and Kane was going to slide the ball back. Clearly I got it wrong, and it was a free kick to Newcastle in a very dangerous position. And of course, with us now down to 10 men as well, I was really fearing the worst here at St James's Park. And it was Newcastle who had the free kick. Johan Kabay would take it for Newcastle. He stands up and shoots, but McCarthy makes a really good save. So it was a bit like damage limitation for the rest of the game now. I knew we weren't really going to get back into the game, so I just was desperate to make sure we wouldn't have this loss. This loss wouldn't turn out to be an absolutely humiliating defeat. And from the corner, the header came in, but again, McCarthy made the save. But in the 63rd minute, Newcastle came through again. Ben Arthur played the ball out wide to Johan Kabay, played it back towards Ben Arthur. He crossed the ball in here, and Alex McCarthy, well, he has been such an awesome goalkeeper ever since we brought McCarthy in January in place of McGregor. He's been an awesome signing. He's came up with some really big saves and some great performances, but that is one incident he will not want to see again there. The cross came in and he just stood there and let Martinez head the ball into the empty net. So 3-0 to Newcastle, and things got worse in the 80th minute. Papi Cisse, the substitute, ran clear and put the ball past McCarthy. So Newcastle 4, Millwall 0, and after an absolutely superb result away at the San Siro, yes, this was a weakened side, but even so, this was just a complete meltdown. But in the 87th minute here, Newcastle putting the press on. They sensed blood. They wanted a 5th goal. We passed the ball out from the back. Eventually, the ball came to Gardner, our youth player off the bench. He chipped the ball over the top. What a ball as well. And Adam Jury ran through the substitute and put the ball into the back of the net. So, good finish by Jury there, and that made it Newcastle 4, Millwall 1 with just a couple of minutes to go. And in injury time here, we had a good chance to make it 4-2 and get back some real pride as well in the last few minutes. Adam Jury, the goal scorer, got onto the ball, played it through to Scott Malone. Malone with a first time ball to Camiliano, the Italian midfielder, plays it back to Scott Malone, then Malone chips it back to Camiliano, goes through 1-on-1, but he drags his shot wide of Rob Elliott's post, and the game does finish Newcastle 4, Millwall 1. So, not really the best of games for us, and a very, very surprising result. We just beat Inter Milan 4-1 away at the San Siro, and then we lose away at St James's Park by 4-1. So very, very surprising. I mean, yes, we did have a weak inside out. I do know that. I've mentioned it a few times now. I don't need to keep going on about it. But even so, you would expect better. I think that's the best way of putting it. You'd expect better because, I mean, we beat West Brom 3-0 with this exact same side. Or I think it was the exact same side. And in this game, we got battered 4-1. So very, very surprising. But even so, we had to put that behind us, really, and take on Southampton in the following game at the Den and try and get the fans back on our side as well. And the one thing we don't want to do as well is have some really bad momentum, because of course our next game is going to be the Europa League semi-final against Bayer Leverkusen as Arsenal take on Marseille in the other semi-final. The one thing we don't want to do is have a bad run of form, you know, have these two games prior to the semi-final, you know, both of them be defeats. That's not what we want at all. We want some wins, really, and get some good confidence behind us. So yeah, I was very disappointed about that, and we had to make amends against Southampton here. But of course Southampton are one of those sides on career mode that I usually do tend to struggle against, mainly because they do have that passing style, which against the AI on Legendary is very, very hard to beat. But the first chance would come in the 9th minute here. Davis loses out to Kelvin, a Brazilian winger, and he plays the ball through to Danny Ings here, starting for his first game since his injury. He gets past Luke Shaw and blasted the ball past Kraft in goal to make it Millwall 1, Southampton 0. So it takes Danny Ings just 9 minutes into his comeback game to make it 1-0 to the home side, and that's great news for us. It's brilliant to see Danny Ings back from his injury, and it's brilliant to see him scoring goals once again. We're going to need that in that Europa League semi-final tie against Bayer Leverkusen. So great piece of pace by Danny Ings and a wonderful piece of composure as well. Such a clinical finisher, and it is no real surprise that Ings hits the back of the net from there, and that makes it Millwall 1, Southampton 0, as we try and make sure that game against Newcastle would be a blip and nothing else. But the following chance came in the 35th minute here. Fabricio wins his header. It comes to Mark Beavers. He gives it to our captain Liam Trotter, who finds Danny Ings. Ings gets past Lovren, goes down the right side, chips the ball in towards Liam Trotter, and our captain's half volley is brilliantly saved by the goalkeeper. It comes to Kelvin down the left hand side. He tries to take the ball past Alana with the fake Rabona, but his cross is blocked, and the ball does indeed go out for a corner here. But in the 52nd minute, it was Southampton who had a corner. Gaston Ramirez crosses the ball in towards Yoshida, and the Japanese international heads the ball just wide of the post. So still Millwall 1, Southampton 0, as the Saints were looking for that equalising goal. And in the 78th minute, they had another good chance here. Gaston Ramirez plays the ball through towards Mayuka eventually. He goes through 1-on-1. McCarthy comes out and makes a fantastic save. So after the Newcastle game, when, you know, there was a couple of shots where he probably should have saved, especially when he let that Martinez header go in, he was looking for an instant response here, trying to keep a clean sheet, and as things stood, he was doing that. What a great save by McCarthy, and it's still 1-0. And from the corner, it's Rodriguez who crosses the ball in towards Mayuka, and this time his header goes wide of the post. So still 1-0. Two really good chances for Mayuka though, but I was very pleased that we were still in the lead in this game. And from that goal kick, we played the ball to Jack Robinson, our left back. He finds Adam Jury, who got our only goal of the game against Newcastle at St James's Park. He gives it to Dongu. Dongu plays it back to our right midfielder on loan from City. Plays the ball through to Danny Ings. Ings shoots, but unfortunately the goalkeeper makes a save, and a chance does indeed come to nothing in the end. But it didn't matter because we did win the game by a goal to nil. So great to get a win. Great to bounce back from that humiliating defeat away at Newcastle with a 1-0 win against a very strong Southampton side. And that is perfect motivation for us going into the following game against Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League semi-final. So I was pleased to win that, and hopefully we can use that motivation in the game against Leverkusen and hopefully progress through to the Europa League final. But as always guys, a big thank you for watching today's video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, and I will see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.